Yo, yo.
Oh, hey. All right. We are here, episode 2, Big Bold Impact. I'm PonderMonster.
I'm Mitchell Valentine.
And we are from NFTW, here to talk about NFTs. And this is already a lot more different than our first episode, which is awesome. Bam! Yeah. There's our background. Each one will get a little bit better. We're getting better at this. This is all new to us, but we're here, and we're very excited to talk about NFTs and some of the stuff that we've been getting into. So how's it going, dude?
Oh man, going so good. Another it's been a bit of a rainy day here in Colorado, but that's actually been fantastic because it's going to bring out the flowers. They're just about to start blossoming, and this feels like I'm really excited about this sort of spring. I feel like there's a lot I feel like a lot of seeds have been planted, and this year is sort of the time to start to see some of those interesting seeds sprout. See which of these ideas that we started off with that we thought, hey, this might grow here, this might work. Well, I think this year we're about to kind of find out. So
yeah, we got those May flowers, which is awesome, and how very fitting that we are like starting some seeds of our own and trying to grow our own stuff and see what they come into. And I'm in California now, but I'm actually traveling out there tomorrow to spend some time with you, which is awesome. So hopefully, I don't know what the weather's like, so I'm kind of packing for everything as Colorado has it. And I heard it's like between 30 and 70 right now.
That seems completely realistic. Yeah. We got to go to a show at Red Rocks this weekend, and then man, I just totally thought in my mind it was going to be a lot warmer than it was. It was warmer the day before. We just kind of thought it was going to be awesome. Go to the show, froze our tushes off. So you got to just kind of be ready. Yes, like you say, anywhere between minus 20 and 85 degrees is possible.
Jeez, yeah. Man, you never know with those Red Rock shows, what they're going to be. I mean, we've had like some miserable shows in July where there's just like bitter cold. I mean, I think I finally had like my first show that I got snowed on the year I left. And it was the only time I went in snow pants to a show. It was amazing. But super crazy. Which... it's kind of cool. Speaking of NFTs and music and stuff, it's kind of cool to see little bubblings of how people are trying to incorporate music with NFTs and basically like purchasing songs or being able to do stuff with ticketing or whatever with the band. So you can see that it's already infiltrating into like all the different realms of entertainment and just where people are flocking to.
Yeah, I mean, people have always, wanted to own a piece of music lore, and buying CDs and buying, tapes and buying records and, all this whole universe has certainly been, it's pretty well-oiled machine in a lot of ways. And I think it's interesting to see how NFTs come to maybe disrupt that, maybe just empower that, or are they here to really give artists a new way to take some power away from the traditional power structures that have all the record companies that got all the money and all that stuff. I mean, there's talk of that. There's interesting talks about how royalties can be shared in new models, how you can new ways of investing in artists that you like and helping them get started up. So it's kind of this weird crossroads, I suppose, where NFTs could potentially be a part of the crowdsourcing of entertainment that people actually like, but then maybe somehow instead of just the record company or the, one company taking all the profit out of it, what if, and then what if not even the artists get some of the profit, but what if the fans get some of the profit? That's some sort of weird futurescape verse that we can potentially live in.
Would they get the profit because they would be like selling the NFTs to somebody else, or what do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, like maybe you get your friends to to become part of BTS Army, and then
Oh,
as a
geez.
result of it, your BTS tokens become worth more money, and you basically can have some capital appreciation because you were a really good fan and you collected more fan tokens, and those tokens became worth more.
Oh
So
man,
there's a
so
lot of complexity.
it's funny you mentioned BTS. There's a this audio woman that I work with, and she's obsessed with BTS, and it's like everything she ever talks about is BTS, BTS, BTS. And I'm like, all right, cool. What do you got? I've never heard. I mean, I've heard of some of their radio hits, and she's like, no, don't worry. I mean, the radio hits are good, but let me I'm like, give me a list. She's like, I'm gonna give you a list, and she gave me like 30 songs to listen to. She's like, you don't have to listen to them in this order, but maybe listen to them in this order. It's like, all right, cool. And they're actually pretty diverse.
They're cool, man. They've got some jams. Boy
Yeah,
with Love, that video.
they got some deep cuts in there for
It's
sure.
cool. My kids love them, and we jam them out all the time. Make me dance all over the living room trying to bust some BTS moves. But they're a perfect example of where music isn't just about music at all. They extend into image, fashion, community, all sorts of different things are going on.
Oh yeah.
People are paying to participate in being a part of this world that BTS has created. They're a part of the BTS army.
It's a perfect example of
Right.
that the people have the control.
Right.
Because I don't know the full story, but I know that I don't know, something was happening, and like the entire BTS army like upvoted them to get like some number one something. Sure. And I'm sure the BTS people out there are like screaming right now, like all the correct information of what I'm completely missing, but still.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Be careful crossing those folks, right? No. We love the BTS army.
Yeah, we do. But I think it's an amazing representation of like the power of the people and how, us as individuals and tech people like you and artists like me are trying to bring NFTs their own empowerment. We're trying to create our own worlds. We're trying to create these things ourselves and not be controlled by outer forces, So that's kind of like how you and I have started this thing. And when I first started doing this and getting into it, you definitely helped me out a lot. And then by you helping me, sort of created some of your own things. So
yeah, and by this you mean NFTs as like a tool for, I don't know, like, again, this crossroads where these things kind of come together. I think it's an interesting way to think about it because what is an NFT in fact, and it is sort of the point at which you collect some very particular and specific metadata about anything. I don't know. It could be a thing. It could be a song. It could be a picture. It could be a house. It could be an idea. I don't know. It can be a moment. We're not sure what those things are.
Yeah, so let's jump right into that. Like, whether you listen to the first episode or not, let's sort of welcome all of our new people and sort of start talking about like what is an NFT. And
sure.
People here, everyone has heard about them. No one knows what it is. There's a lot of buzz. A lot of people think it's a phase. How would you describe what does it even stand? What do the letters stand for? And like, what does it actually mean?
Right. NFT, non-fungible token. That doesn't sound very sexy at all, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Okay. What's fungible mean? Well, fungibility just really has to do with whether or not something can be traded equally for something else. So best example is easy to understand is $1. If I got $1, I trade you for $1. We can trade our dollars, and we both have $1 still, and they're both still worth $1. Okay. So those dollars are fungible. They are a token that is fungible. That's what fungibility means. So in cryptocurrency town, you started hearing about all these tokens coming out. ERC20 tokens, and they're creating all these tokens, and people are buying tokens, and tokens mean stuff. Well, those are typically fungible tokens. So they would
Mm-hmm.
mint like a billion of them, right? And then you could, Ethereum's a fungible token, Bitcoin's a fungible token, right? So each Bitcoin's worth another Bitcoin. They're transferable with each other. And
Mm-hmm.
you can use smart contracts to mint new fungible tokens. That's the thing. Well, what they realized was, what if I just like minted one token and said it's just going to be one of one instead of it being
Okay.
one of a million? What if it's just one of one?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a non-fungible token. So a non-fungible token is just a one of one,
Okay.
basically. And
So how
so,
does that? Sorry. Go
yeah.
ahead.
So what in the accounting that is the cryptocurrency universe, we basically uh, each we talked about this last time, but basically there's just a ledger that keeps track of like who's got stuff and who owns one or who doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so what a non-fungible token is typically some sort of attributes, and it could be any type of attributes really, but like uh, typically it's what we've been seeing with the JPEGs isn't it's the attribute of what the URL is to the actual picture, for
Mm-hmm.
example, is one of the
Mm-hmm.
attributes. And one of the attributes might be like, oh, this one has 5 stars and 6 heads, and I don't know, a bunch of different things. But
Sure.
attributes can be who created it. They could, whatever the data is around this thing, right? And so if you just mint one off of something and then you store some metadata around it, you now have yourself an NFT.
Okay. All right on. And so if
That's
it's
it.
so if these are all one of one non-fungible tokens, so what are these, you know, uh if they make multiple editions like these 10,000, is
Yeah.
that
So what the
still?
people are trying to do here is try to make 10,000 unique NFTs. And, you think about it like one of them has the glasses on, and you take the glasses off, and
Yeah.
then one has the star, and so you have basically there's
Yeah.
like 10 layers.
Yeah.
Layer may be the face, one layer may be the glasses, one layer may be the hat. And then you just sort of mix them up through using some math, and
Yep.
just mix. If you have 10 different things, you mix that up 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, depending on how many attributes you have. And you can have many, many thousands and thousands of what are technically unique uh, images because they are
Yep.
composed of all these layers, but they're just really made out of like 10 original attributes.
Right. And I'm gonna see if since we have sort of a new platform here,
Yeah.
I am going to
Can you do this
try.
once with some PonderMonsters?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is like how I started. So I started with a project called Dear Santa. A friend
Oh,
in Los
right.
Angeles here called and asked me. He was like, "Hey, I'm doing a fundraiser, which is a big part of what a lot of NFT communities are doing. Is they're like making these fundraisers so that there's like a cause behind their project, so that the money goes somewhere, yada yada."
Right.
This my buddy Eric calls me, and he's doing a fundraiser in a different way of something that he always raised money for, which is like foster kids, which is awesome. He's like, "Hey, do you know anything about NFTs?" And I was like, kind of, because you and I had like done some of the stuff on OpenSea like a year before.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, sure, I could figure it out. And he was like, can you donate some so that when people buy or mint their NFTs, they can potentially end up with one of yours. I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Which is a super cool concept in and of itself.
Sure.
And so I was like, all right, so cool, let me draw some stuff. And then I was like, maybe I should just do like a whole collection. And then I ended up making the PonderMonster Hotties, which is on
Yep.
SoulSea, which I also wasn't gonna work on Solana, but he was like, yeah, we're doing it on Solana. So if you could maybe do that, that would be great. And that was a whole nother thing I had to figure out, which I loved Solana because there was like very little fees. Yeah, thank you very much for pulling that up. So that's the PonderMonster Hotties collection, and any of them, I don't know if there are any in there, but with little Santa hats. They're probably not because I airdropped all those, but so I had to learn how to sort of make layers on my iPad with drawing these characters, and then sort of I hand selected all these random traits, but I ended up making 100 unique characters of my own, and yeah.
Yeah, here's
And they have all the
traits
traits, and Soul Sea is pretty awesome. Like it was kind of buggy trying to figure out all the traits to get them properly, and then reaching out to their Discord to try to like be like, hey, will you put the rarities and the rank and all that stuff? Like I had to upload my whole collection to get all that stuff in, but it's in. It looks great. I'm like so happy with how it turned out. I actually sold one a couple of days ago. I thought it was totally cold, but someone
dude, I see your floor your volume's gone up a little bit. You were at 23 something, you're at 24.
Yeah, someone bought
floor at 0. Yeah,
it's still 25. Yeah. But someone bought the black one with the top hat, I think, all the way to the right, or whatever it is. I think it was number 68. But anyways, doesn't matter.
When's somebody gonna buy my number 1? The price is a little bit ridiculous.
If we keep doing these podcasts.
Yeah. Look at that rarity rank. All right, so what is this this is weird thing, rarity rank? I know.
Yeah.
And how does that get calculated out? I know the answer to this, but explain it to the.
Yeah, sure. So people. With all of the characteristics that I put into all my characters, so you can see there's 10 of them that are specified. Each one puts up a number of each one. So like the eyes, so it says wall-eyed. So there's a certain percentage that are wall-eyed. Right. And so basically out of all 10 of those characteristics, those are probably the rarest of each characteristic. And so that makes it the number 2 most rare of all my hotties. So
the most rare one was actually number 2, oddly. So number 1 is actually the second most rare. Number 2 was actually the most rare, and I had it, and somebody bought it from me.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
I think I got a pretty good price for that one. I don't even know. They didn't even put it up for sale. So,
but it's so weird. All these people they kind of make more money individually by themselves by flipping it than I do percentage. That's why I started off low, and then I was like, people are paying more, and I was like pushing it, and I think the most I sold one for was like 1.5 or something like that.
At the time, that was like $250, $300 converted into USD.
That was like $60.
Right.
But anyway,
it's been a little rough. Solana did have a bad day last couple of days. I'm not sure if you read the news. I didn't really. They're hanging the CTO out to dry. He was flying on an airplane when I guess the whole they got DDoSed, as far as I understand, which means
I have no idea what that means.
Basically denial of service. So basically it's hard to say whether it was on purpose or not, but there was supposedly like a bot army that went to just attack all the nodes. So they just started submitting like tons and tons and tons of transactions at all of the Solana nodes. And which is one way of testing the weakness of the system. Okay. Supposedly it did shut the system down, and it was down for 7 hours. And then while this all went down, somebody important at Solana was like on an airplane or something, and
he was like, "Oh shit!"
not responding to Discord as quickly as he's supposed to.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Long story short, not good for the Solana price, I think.
No. But it brings up an interesting point that it's like the fucking Wild West right now.
100%.
It still and when 100%. I was making this collection, and you helped me through gobs and gobs of all of this. so that I could understand what's going on. You helped me set up a wallet. You helped me figure out like what Solana was. But what was I gonna say? So
Oh, but just the wild, wild west, man. Like
Oh,
the
thank you. Yeah.
dangers out there, like lurking
So
around
as
every
I
corner.
absolutely as I made this collection, SoulSea was like being built as I was making this collection and uploading it. So like there was like 10 new features on the website every day.
Mhm.
And now it is the way you see it, and you didn't have to stake anything, which is a whole nother thing.
Well, staking is useful, especially if you understand what that's about. But
it is, but to me, and maybe we could talk about it for a minute. So
sure.
so on SoulSea, they say you can, if you stake some certain kind of cryptocurrency with them, they will feature your NFT like on a certain page and like up higher and longer, blah blah blah. It just, to me, it feels like it's just more, I don't want to say a scam, but
Well,
but it feel
but you were getting so much for free and you were loving it. So here's the
not
reality,
well,
son.
kind, but
If you
they
want
were,
if
but
you
I
want
had to
your
pay.
NFT art to be basically available for the universe forever,
But I
available
paid for
to
each one to
anybody
be up there.
forever. How
It
did you
wasn't free to
pay?
put up.
What'd you pay for?
I mean, I paid the Solana fees to
Okay, you paid the
pay it,
smart
and
contract fee to mint the token, but you did not pay anything to
I paid
store the
SoulSea.
image. But that doesn't store your image. You're not storing your picture on the blockchain, man. That'd be like a little more expensive than you can afford. So what you're doing is this: you made this really groovy picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
then
it
you
was just,
stored
yeah.
it. You actually stored it in some sort of decentralized storage. Well, that decentralized
Mm-hmm.
storage has to be somewhere. Well, it turns out that decentralized storage isn't just like little gnomes and wizards like remembering your stuff for you. It turns out it's
Yeah.
like actual computers that people have, and they're incentivized to remember and store your silly picture of a PonderMonster by using art tokens. And so
Yeah.
when you stake art tokens, you're doing a couple things. I mean, one is you're supporting this particular decentralized protocol. Now, there's two
Okay.
ways you could have done that. You could have used this art protocol, which is what SoulSea, went with, and they're using the art and what's the I got to remember how I don't even have my wallet connected, but where they're recording, they're not using IPFS, they're using a different decentralized storage.
Arweave or
Arweave,
something.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Mm-hmm.
Arweave. So this is
See,
the token.
I
Yeah,
know
exactly.
stuff.
So, yeah, you do know some stuff. So this is the token of Arweave, and this is basically how you're basically monetizing them for just storing the picture,
Yeah.
the NFT, all that metadata, that picture itself,
Mm-hmm.
the this JSON file that we were talking about, which is just a formatting of this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just a file that has the details in there. All these words you wrote with your little cute
Yeah.
little things. This is all stored in Arweave. And
Mm-hmm.
the way that Arweave said, look, a bunch of people are trying to onboard, a bunch of people are knuckleheads. Let's just we'll just pay the fees for them to do some stuff. But then they're like, all right, we're sick and tired of paying for you knuckleheads to post these stupid, ridiculous NFTs that got abused. So then they started saying, look, the way to differentiate is, hey, you support our platform, we'll throw you to the top. And then that also differentiates it. Now you know that you're not just some scum player who's not really
Mm-hmm.
doing anything. You're supporting the
Yep.
protocol. You
Yeah.
are you're an all art supporter. You're using the all art tokens. You have
Yeah.
some. You bought some you converted something into that. You're staking it,
Mm-hmm.
which means that money you bought. Let's say you bought $1,000 worth of all art. You locked it all up. Well, your $1,000 of all art value is still locked up in that token, which
Mm-hmm.
is how tokenomics works. It's all about locking up value of things in these ledgers, basically.
Yeah,
So
that's actually another question I have is like, do
sure.
I ever get that? Do I ever see the funds that I stake ever again that I put into this, or did I give that to them?
Sure. I mean, if you take them out, you can unstake them. They're your tokens. You're just staking them. You didn't, and by staking
Mm-hmm.
them, it's like putting them in. I mean, in the old days, I don't know if you remember if you ever had a bank account at the bank, but You'd go down and have a savings account, and you'd put your money
Right.
in the savings account, and they'd pay in
Yep.
that here. That's staking with the bank. You were doing that.
Okay,
Okay.
so it's the same concept.
It's not even this. It's exactly, yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same
Mm-hmm.
principle. And so you picked a bank, maybe you picked Wells Fargo, maybe you picked your
Mm-hmm.
local community bank, maybe you picked
Mm-hmm.
Chase. I don't know how you picked, but,
I've
and
been
you
through the
picked it.
ringer with all of them.
Yeah, sure. But, hopefully you picked a community credit union these days.
I
But,
that's all I do now. Credit
right,
unions
right,
till I
right.
die, for sure.
But you're staking your money with that credit union. And what's interesting about a credit union, why does it feel better to do a credit union? Because all the owners are members. So
Mm-hmm.
your money is held by all the members. It's all pooled. Whereas Wells Fargo's taking as much of your money as they possibly can, like a lot of it, bastards. But anyways, so you're kind of understanding staking. Now it's the same exact principle. You would receive some sort of return for doing that. And then all the different types of returns, these yields that are out there. If you
Mm-hmm.
stake with, Ethereum 2.0, there's a yield. Now you're seeing Cardano's got a yield. Solana, you can stake with Solana. There's a yield. It's right around 5% these days. So when you stake with the LR token, you're buying and owning that token, and then you're supporting this decentralized storage protocol. If you wanted to use IPFS, you could do the same thing with Filecoin. So you'd buy some Filecoin, you'd stake your Filecoins, then you'd be able to use some storages. That's how it works. Now, SolSea did incentivize people staking art tokens by, like you say, by premiering their listing up here and making them gold.
Mm-hmm.
So what they're doing is they're incentivizing people to stake because that means your listing goes to the top, which is that's the way things should work, man. You shouldn't be gruff about that at all. We should be like, that is really rad. I mean, because what this really is saying is, look, these players have put in real money and are really like doing
it's
this
all about
stuff,
legitimizing, and
versus all these people are just trying to make money quick off of a free system.
Yeah, and hopefully people see that, because I know I put a shit ton of work and effort into all these, and love and care, and I put this extra stake in here to show that I am legitimate, and to show people like how serious I am about this, and then it's kind of crazy to see there's someone copycatted me on OpenSea, which is the craziest thing. I should have seen it coming, but I don't know if I'm like mortified or totally flattered that someone's trying to make a buck off me, but someone took the time to like take all my images and like copy and paste a sentence and try to sell this shit on OpenSea. Like, again, it's the Wild West out there right now.
I mean,
and we're all trying to figure out. And there's like a level of trust with all this too, that we all have to just like put into this, and just like, all right, I'm putting these things out here. Like, I just gotta like kind of trust. Here's like some information. Here's my wallet. Here's my social security number. Here, like, ooh, that was a rough one. But there's things that you have to like trust somehow because you're curious.
Sure. I mean, and there's not really a clear answer. This stuff's not hyper regulated. And is it okay for somebody to copy your art and sell it as an NFT? I mean, the answer is no, but like, is it okay for somebody to, print out your picture and then make some magazines and sell them on the rack? I mean, that's hard to do. I mean, how about if somebody uses their PonderMonster and then makes a meme of it and shares it on their TikTok account, and then that TikTok gets 20 million views and that person makes a bunch of money? I mean, yeah, it's kind of like this whole weird slippery slope these days with, how is it monetized and all that. Now, some things we do know are true. Okay. Here's some interesting facts about an NFT. All of these NFTs that you minted, if I go down here and look, I don't know where did they put it on here? Well, they're all minted of the same smart contract, right? And so we can validate that at the end of the day. I mean, a real PonderMonster is a real PonderMonster. None of the other ones are real.
And
So if people
hopefully
are
you'd be
selling
smart
them because
enough.
they're cool and because the art is cool and they were able to generate some sort of like following and use, bots to sell your NFTs to unsuspecting NFT flippers, and they made a
Hmm.
bunch of money doing all that stuff. Well, hey, we'd be better off to figure out, get that person, like hire them, like, figure, hey, how the hell did you sell all these silly NFTs to knuckleheads? Like, I don't,
Yep.
maybe we want to be a part of it. Maybe we don't. I mean, I don't think
Hmm.
if they're doing it in nefarious ways, then we don't want to be a part of it. So then we don't really have to worry about if they're making money on it or whatever. I mean, it's probably not a significant about enough money for us to lose our sleep over. But what's
Yeah.
interesting about an NFT is like, and then looking at some of the other projects that we're working on, like with 222 World and stuff, like a fake NFT can't get through the door. Like it just doesn't do that.
Yeah. And now that you brought it up, we are here in 2222
Yeah.
world, which is something that you created for an ETH Denver project, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
ETH Denver.
so for those of you who don't know, ETH Denver is a just an annual kind of convention for this blockchain cryptocurrency sort of world, and there are projects and bounties, if you will, that they give creators to try to figure out. And Mitch here is a badass and continues to win all these fucking prizes and stuff for all these like ideas that he has and like concepts and whatnot. And this particular website here that he I believe it's after your brother's birthdays, February 22nd.
Yeah, it
And
was an homage to him. Yeah.
on
222 2022 was his birthday,
yeah.
right?
So this concept that Mitch here created has these three portals, and with NFTs that you can purchase or whatever, you can go through these portals. And this is sort of this concept that he has created that nobody else has made, which is like fucking
As far as I know.
crazy. So he won some awards for this project, which is super dope. So tell me more about this, like for people that are looking at this for the first time.
Let me see if this works. I was just like, can I bust it? Oh yeah, look it, let me in. I do own a purple one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I mean, the way this works is, I've gone to ETH Denver. Yeah, coolest community fest, or it's a community innovation festival is what it's called, and it's where a lot of this cool stuff really got started. I mean, all the OGs, all the OpenSea guys, they were just the couple of developers who had made like a basic website and some simple stuff back in 2018, and we're helping other people, and they've really grown to become like what, a multi-billion dollar, I don't know what the flow through, they hit $1 trillion of NFTs yet, I don't know, but it's
Hmm.
become it's ETH Denver is sort of like, it's where the OGs all got their start. Vitalik Buterin goes to kick it there, and and then you got the consensus folks are all hanging out there. Joe Lubin's always there. John Poller throws the thing. It's really cool. Like, a lot of the OGs of the Ethereum world, the original developers, the people who created the whole thing, they all come to this like super magical event, and they challenge people to build cool stuff. And every year I've gone and tried to win and tried to get to the main stage, and never got there. But I
Hmm.
started building. That's where I got into NFTs originally. And my first project for ETH Denver was like a beer. It was Brewtegrity. It was a beer token system where you'd mint a token for different batches of beer. And so I've been fascinated by this NFT idea of representing objects for a really long time.
Hmm.
And this year we started looking at how you could connect, yeah, this idea of an NFT being a ticket to something, being an entry point to something. And so one of the interesting things I discovered this year was the lit protocol. So what that does is allow you to generate another third party proof that gives us a double verification that somebody owns an NFT, and then we can
Hmm.
use that verification to basically decrypt content at a website, or unlock parts of a website, or basically give you access to specialized content. So, and we're gonna be ripping this out using it with this big impact Big Bold Impact podcast, where we're going to be
Oh yeah.
encrypting those, and then we're going to be putting them behind a cool website, and you buy the NFT, and you can come and be a part of a bunch of like really cool video content. So this was sort of the first seeds of that. But the way it works is, I mean, if you head over to OpenSea and you buy, one of these actual NFTs, and then the actual owners of those NFTs can gain access to different types of content, and they can use these. They can use ownership to actually verify that they own the NFT to do real world stuff, but they could also do virtual stuff and gain access to content. So built this this cool place, and I think what's real interesting to me is that you can have people owning these NFTs anywhere in the world, and then basically gaining access to digital worlds based on the fact that they own the NFT itself. And so, and then, gain access to video content, gain access to activities, gain access to something that gets you into a real world event, like a ticket, and it could be both of those things at the same exact time, which is super fascinating. So we can sell you an NFT that allows you to get into this website and go back and do things. If you're not logged in, try going to 222.world, and then /purple, and see what, if it'll let you in there. And it turns out
I'm going right now.
It'll let me in there, but it shouldn't let you in there. And actually, since I don't own the gold NFT, you'll kind of see it. It really just won't let me in there. We didn't create any fun UI that says screw you, you don't own an NFT. But if you did inspect it, you'd find out that the console is telling you that you fail every time. So
you suck.
But long story short, what are NFTs? So an NFT is just saying that, yes, somebody owns it at a given time. And what's fascinating about these NFTs, again, kind of coming around to it, is they're at OpenSea. Two of the values that are super important here is the contract address. So that's the contract. That's the place that keeps track of all of the tokens. And then each token has its own token ID. So you marry contract address plus token ID plus owner address, those three things, and you have what's a very unique ownership model. And that's what NFTs are. So getting back to your question of like, if somebody's making fake NFTs, well, they can't make a fake one because they can't make another token ID of this. That's just already been done. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So depending on what the real world's trying to do, I mean, if it's just to show your picture to something, well, whoop-de-doodly, probably can get away with it. But if they're trying to sell an actual original PonderMonster NFT, well, there's only the ones that you originally created.
Yeah.
And that can't be faked, man. It's just never could be faked in the universe.
People try to like I've tried to explain it also to people like like a painting, like a Monet painting, let's say.
Sure.
There you can go and you can go to an art museum, you can see this Monet painting, it's the original. You can take a picture of it. You can keep that picture, someone can copy that picture. There's reproduction prints. There's identical copies of all these paintings, and they can all sell for whatever, but nothing is quite as original. Nothing's quite as valuable as the original that is actually signed by Monet. So yes, there's like millions of copies of the exact same thing, and I can say, oh, look, I can go to the fucking museum and take a picture of this Monet. Like, why does this any less valuable or than the original? And you're like, well, everyone knows that this is like what his hands touched. This is like what he created. And yeah, sure, you got the same image, but it's not the original. And so that's what kind of this metadata encoding shows, that I made this.
Yeah.
And that's what's super cool. So this is sort of like a digital version of that. Yes, I'm comparing myself to Monet. No big deal. What's up?
But yeah, this is the whole thing, man. I mean, I can just go look at I'm on OpenSea. I can see a very high resolution copy of this. I can fully save the image to my own computer.
Yep.
and I can run over to my really high def printer and print one out and
Mm-hmm.
put it on my wall behind me if I wanted to.
Yep.
There's super nothing keeping me from doing that.
Yeah.
But but one thing isn't true is I don't own the NFT. You know, I do not have the signing authority for the whatever address currently
Mm-hmm.
is the token holder of this.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is the current owner address, and there's a person, who can sign a transaction that says they are the owner of that address.
Yeah.
That there's only one of them, and there's only one way to sign that transaction, and that can be done anywhere in the world, and it can be done without permission.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to ask. You don't need to ask Facebook's permission to see if this is valid. You don't need to ask
Mm-hmm.
OpenSea's permission to see if this is
Yeah,
valid.
it's all public. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all you need is the ability to participate in the network. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this definitely becomes an interesting question. Like, is this going to exist in 1,000 years? Will it exist in 1,000,000 years? Will it exist 5 years? Is SolSea going to last? Is Ethereum going to
Yeah.
last? Bitcoin? These are definitely durable and interesting questions. And as you look at things like where I posted our website on GitHub,
Mm-hmm.
and GitHub one time told me that my web code had been included in the cold storage or whatever. So I wrote a bunch of code. GitHub, the company, which is Microsoft, I think, right? They paid to basically like archive my code in some super cold like some
Whoa.
ultra durable code archive, right? That should
Wow.
last for like 1,000,000 years or something, right? Like that. And so, but the point is like it, the likelihood that this code does exist for 1,000,000 years is probably relatively high, I guess.
Sure.
Like, do I think Bitcoin will still be around 1,000 years from now? If humanity is, then yes, Bitcoin will. It's
Right.
kind of like one of those things. I mean, if humanity's gone, well, who gives a shit anyways, right? I mean, it's kind of like,
I'm
what's
not
the
gonna be
point?
there. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, what we're hoping is that,
Yeah.
our generations go travel the stars, and maybe. And what's super fascinating to me about this technology is
Mm-hmm.
because of the way that it is being architected, right? The way it's being designed and built, this
Mm-hmm.
notion of having, like I was saying, an address, an owner, and then, and this, the number space and the namespace of this is big enough for this to be a work in the universe. Like,
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
so in theory, even if we become a Star Trek civilization, yeah, we'll be using something that looks pretty darn close to NFTs a
Yeah.
1,000 years from now, because what they are is just a unique address. It's a unique number that comes from a number space that's larger than there are stars in the universe. So yeah, we picked a
Mm-hmm.
number space that's big, 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 with a lot of numbers, and
Yeah.
so it should work. So I mean, in theory, yeah, like 100 generations from now, we'll be able to look at a PonderMonster and know who owned it through that 100
That's super
generations
crazy that these little
feasibly.
guys are theoretically like out
you
there
know,
forever. And
sure,
that's kind of like the pull too as an artist,
right,
it's just like, oh, or just even as a human, you just want something to last forever, which is
sure.
uh you want to leave a mark. But then, when I'm dead, I'm not gonna care. Obviously, it's just a nice thought while you're alive.
I mean, I'm sure back in the day when the guys had a piece of, paint, a piece of, you know, I guess parchment paper or something, and their canvas or whatever, and
Yeah.
mixing up oils and painting and on there, and people were like, I have no idea why you need to do this, but I like
Hmm.
having them in my house, I guess.
Yeah.
And then somehow down the road they became worth millions of dollars. Some of them did, and a
Yeah.
whole heap of people painted pictures that are still worth nothing.
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. And
they
and
didn't
that's
survive.
that's kind of like also another, I mean, I could get better at sharing screens or whatever, but I know that I've seen, people are comparing these works of art that people are trying to do where, they're just like these really long, lengthy, like beautiful,
Yeah.
high detailed paintings that are like $40. and then you show this
Right.
like shitty stick figure NFT for like millions.
Right.
And you're just like, God damn it. Why? um
Well,
and but
that's
it's
that's the journey that I think you and I are really, and it's the thing, I don't know that I have an answer to it yet, but I think we're really trying to figure this out, is clearly just owning a picture. We can see in the world there's been utility that for that, but
yeah,
if you do dig into the question of why is a painting worth $1 million, well, it has a lot more to do with wealthy people hiding money in different places and avoiding
yeah,
taxes, and there's a lot of complexities to why
yeah,
it's worth $1 million. It doesn't
yeah.
actually have to do with that it cost $1 million to make it, or
Mhm.
any of those things. And
And
so
exposure to the people as well.
yeah, but in the real art world is an extremely complex thing about popularity and value and upping each other and lots of stuff going on.
Yep,
But typically it doesn't have to do with the quality of the art. It doesn't
correct.
always, and it doesn't always have to do with how hard it was to make the art either. Like,
Right.
things can be insanely hard to make and worth nothing.
Yeah,
You know, there's things that you'll find artifacts people spend a whole lifetime making one. And
exactly.
they're worth like $20. You're like,
And then some asshole duct tapes a
ah.
banana to a wall.
Yeah, and they give them $1 million. It's like,
And then it's
so
like the most epic, like time changing, shattering thing ever. And you're just like, fuck.
well, but what that person putting the banana on the wall is illustrating is that value isn't really about, again, like how hard it goes. It's about the construct of the world around that's utilizing it.
Right.
And so again, for us, like, as artists, are you making pictures like this because you're trying to make people feel something? You want them to, buy it and sell it for a lot of more money, or
Right.
do you want them to be a part of something?
Right.
And to me, I always figured the reason why I was drawn to your work is I felt like I was being a part of something that was more than just a well done Ziggy Stardust ripoff PonderMonster, right? Like with a halo, right? Like, so it's
Yeah,
like I get the cultural reference here is obvious. You're playing to certain heartstrings, but you've created
for
something
sure.
completely unique. And
Yeah.
just because you put a lightning bolt on a face doesn't mean you did that, either. It's
Hmm.
wonderful, right?
Yeah.
So, but at the end of the day, what's the point? Like, and again, it's like I feel like ponder monsters are pieces of art that you find out in the world.
Yeah.
And I was always sad that you know people couldn't prove that they did own these ponder monsters. That always to me seemed like what NFTs made it really fun, where
Hmm.
somebody can be alive, making art, making people's lives. They're a part of it, but then these people buy the art. But then there's some way for them to currently participate in a market or something like that. That
Absolutely.
seemed like a hard thing to do. It's hard to get your work to Sotheby's, just like boom, all the way to the top, eh? It
Yeah.
doesn't work that way.
And that's what I want to try to like sort of continue to do is bring NFTs into my work and sort of hide them into the world, and so that the treasure hunting has always been a big part of my theme. And
Right,
I think what you love to bring into the NFT world is that there is a treasure within the NFTs that you own.
right.
Yeah, and so we've definitely got something here that's like phenomenal. That is going to be interesting to watch unfold while we continue to try to work stuff out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always seen that, to me, the funnest stuff in life is the reveal, right? Like when something
Hmm.
new is revealed to me. And and that happens in a couple ways. Magic is one way you get these wonderful obvious reveals, but it's one of the reasons I've always been into education so much is because I like learning
Hmm.
new stuff. I like that moment when you just see something new that you
Yep.
didn't, and so you've got to, a lot of people just are lazy and they wait for the TV to bring them that answer, but I think there's a journey that you can go on to discover things. And I like puzzles, I like games and stuff like that. And to me,
Hmm.
NFTs feels like just learning how they work, learning how to build them, learning how to create them, learning what they mean, like learning all these things has been a really fun journey. I mean, it's never boring. but what's cool about them in and of themselves is that they can be a tool to doing that too. So like we can create learning moments, be them, learning really important things like, I don't know, how to actually make an NFT, or just fun, crazy things like, or really important things like how to grow cannabis. I don't know, something like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
or we could just make it into fun and puzzles, and then the interplay between those two things is what makes learning fun and enjoyable. So, I think the title of this episode too is right. NFTs fun, or are they fun, or are they serious? Just serious,
Yeah.
You start
And
messing around with money and it gets serious real quick.
and lots of money.
Lots
And
of money.
lots of money. And
Right.
a lot of, obviously there's always a hope that something will take off and make lots of money,
Sure.
but I was so much more interested in seeing how everything worked,
Right.
um, than making the money or making the crypto that came in. Um, that it's like, first of all, that all these random people would come in and see it and buy it, and then when they would go back and sell it, that little percentage would like break off to me. and
Right.
and watching sort of that code work and unfold was like super exciting. I'm like, oh my god,
Sure.
look, it worked. This has been sold like 2 or 3 times, and like it's still doing the thing that it's supposed to be doing. Was like way cool. And that people are like trading this stuff. I don't know, like it seemed like I didn't care about the money. I just like thought it was like really neat that it was working.
Right.
And I'm working on my next collection now, the PonderMonster shorties, and I'm like doing more metadata to see like, all right, what more code can I put in there that can work,
Right.
and try and like, are people going to be interested in like minting their own as opposed to going to something like SoulSea? So it's again, on my side, more than money. I would love the money, but I like seeing it work.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I've had a lot of hobbies. I'm a hobby geek. I like drone racing and 3D printing, and cryptocurrency of itself as a whole thing. But
Hmm.
I think just computers and video games and all these things, and you know, almost all of those have just been money pits, man. I just put
Yeah.
money in. It's
Ugh.
real hard to like get money back out. And I think one of the fun things about NFTs is like actually writing code, which I get a lot of enjoyment out of, building things, building websites, building projects. Even building tech things. I've used NFTs to open up a physical box that I 3D printed, for example.
Hmm.
And that stuff to me, those solving those kind of problems is extremely satisfying and rewarding. And I'm enjoying the fact that maybe this whole journey to NFT town. I mean, when I
Yeah.
won, when we won our bounties and got paid in Ethereum for winning at ETH Denver, I was like, holy
Oh, it made it so
smokes.
real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
You're like,
well, and
wow.
I made way more money than I put in finally into a hobby, It was like,
Hmm. Yeah.
thank you. Thank you, ETH gods, for like, wow. That, I think, some of my drone racing friends finally maybe got paid back, but not really. I think there's only one or two really great drone racer dudes out there that have actually gotten their coin back, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
anyways, it's lovely that way, and it's fun. It's kind of like, I mean, I do think that there's an opportunity where cryptocurrency can really bring dollars to solve world problems, and I think that's fascinating. And I'm
Hmm.
interested in that too, like how does monetizing teaching, for example, hey, it's super nice to like, share the royalties with some person who wrote a song. And I love music, and don't get me
Hmm.
wrong, songs are great. Movies are great. I love movies. I watch them a lot. I'm super into all that process. But hey, man, I'm really into teachers, honestly. And to
Hmm.
me, how come teachers don't get royalties on their kids? And like, when you have a bunch of students super successful, like, why can't you get, like a little bit of downstream funds for their like, their salaries that kicked ass when they grew up? How come there's nothing, nobody's talking about that? Nobody's saying,
Oh, Oh
Nobody
man,
even says that's
that's a
okay,
whole other
you
can
know?
of worms of the educational system and what our teachers get paid. Holy shit.
Sure, but like, how come it's okay to say like that somebody gets, royalties on a song but not on an idea? And
Right.
these kind of things. Well, part of the reason is, our education system does have a lot of money in it, and
Hmm.
universities make a lot of money, and there's a lot involved in that. But
Hmm.
I think there's some new that's where NFTs get interesting. Like that's just an opportunity to try out some new models.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And sort of as we looks like we got a few minutes left here as we're winding
Yeah.
down. Are there any sort of final thoughts of where we're going next, and then maybe where we can bring into our next episode? What's happening next?
Are you washing yourself? Oh,
My wife
oh,
is washing
oh,
her hands. Yeah.
oh, gotcha. I'm just checking. I'm sure our viewers are like, "What are we washing?" Like we
Don't
can.
worry
That's
about
okay.
it.
No problem.
It's a good
But
microphone. It
anyways, I
picks up
guess
all kinds of stuff.
that's the question. How to get clean. I don't know. For our next episode, I mean, you and I will be in the same room for
That's
our
right.
next episode, right? So we'll do a
Yeah.
real
So
world,
yeah, episode 3, you and I are going to be face to face, which is going to be super cool.
right?
Very much looking forward to that because it will be after a few days of us actually working together for the first time in the same room.
Yeah.
So we may have like a whole bunch of other stuff to talk about, where we are, where we're going, what's happening next.
Yeah, I mean that's super. What I kind of see coming down on us is,
Mhm.
yeah, you're coming. You'll be here tomorrow. We got a week of
Yep.
doing stuff. Monday will be the end of our time together, and then you get to go home, and we get to go try to like realize some stuff. So this episode was, I think, what we're trying to sort through for both of us is, as NFTW, we have this cool agency. We clearly
Hmm.
understand NFTs pretty well, and
Yep.
we kind of know how to make them. We get how they work. We get the different chains. We get how smart contracts work. We get the tech involved. We
Hmm.
got a pretty solid handle on how this thing goes. But then the question is like, what do we want to spend our time doing? Like, what do we want to build?
Yep.
Like,
Absolutely.
what's our thing that we do? One thing we definitely can do is help other people build projects. And please, like, reach out to us, visit our website, go to newfrontierworks.com,
Hmm.
email us, NFTW at tuta.io, or even info at newfrontierworks.com works. But
Yep.
like, reach out to us. We'd love to help you do a project if that's what your thing is. If you've got a big, ambitious project that with a huge budget and you need a real agency to get the work done, like we're super down for that. Or if you just need,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, you're just like into NFTs and think we're cool, like come talk to us about that
Yeah,
stuff for sure.
happy to make it.
Yeah,
Teamwork makes the dream work, and we've put in a ton of hours of
yeah,
the tech side and the art side to figure out how to make this work, and so we will help you sort of bypass a lot of those things, or at least help you understand it without having to lose your mind as much as we did to get your project off the ground. So
right.
yeah, hit us up. And we will talk to you all soon. And we look forward to seeing you on our next podcast. Thank you so much for joining us tonight or today or wherever you are in the world. We
Yeah.
love you very much, and couldn't be more appreciative of this new adventure that we're all taking.
Hallelujah. All right. Well, let's see where it goes.
All right.
All right, big bold impact. All right, I guess we can let's remove our here. Should we give him a little bit of this wonderful
Yep. There's a little
let's
gift.
play
Here's a little gift that I made. I don't know. Can you take us off?
all right, let's get the music there. Let's DJ us out.
Can you take our faces off?
Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Bye-bye.